bleeding purple and gold. From the heart of Los Angeles, this is the LakersNation.com podcast with your host, Trevor Lane.
Hey everybody, welcome to today's show. As always, we are powered by CLNS Media and LakersNation.com, your home for everything Lakers. Today's show, we've got a lot to talk about. We've got LeBron sitting in the front row in Las Vegas watching the Lakers Summer League team. He is decked out in some Lakers gear. We got to talk a little bit about that. That was kind of a surreal moment. First time actually seeing LeBron in Lakers gear that wasn't photoshopped. So that's pretty cool. We'll talk about that. We'll also be talking about the Summer League team. I mean, they're absolutely killing it. They are on their path right now towards a second consecutive Summer League title. They've got to get a couple more wins. Let's knock on wood here. Hope that they get them, hope that they're able to pull it off. So we'll talk a little bit about what they've been doing. And also I opened up the Lakers Nation mailbag. I put it out there on Twitter earlier this evening and got a ton of great questions. Thank you to everybody who submitted questions. So we're going to be going through that and talking about everything that's going on in the world of the Lakers by going through your questions. And again, when we do this, when we open up the mailbag, all you have to do is throw it out on Twitter, hashtag LNPod, and we take a look at all the questions. I take the best ones, and then you may get a little shout out here on the show because I'll be announcing the names of the people who ask each question. So before we get into the show, this is normally where I would introduce my guest. I would say, hey, we've got all this to go through, and I'm bringing in this person, right, to help me break it all down. Well, not today. Today, it's just me and the microphone, which for me is kind of cool. I love having guests on. It's something that I've gotten used to. I've had, obviously, Hannah Kulik from Lakers Nation has been on quite a bit. She's been on probably more than anybody else has. She's right now roughing it in Hawaii, by the way. She's enjoying the sand and surf and sun and all of that. So yeah, tough time for her right now. But we've had a number of different guests on, from former players to current players to NBA analysts to all sorts of people that have been on the show as guests. But for today's show, most of the Lakers reporters or most of the people who are reporting on the NBA in general are either out at Vegas, and I just got back myself a couple of days ago, or they're just getting back, and everybody's kind of in that post-Vegas sort of cool-down mode. And I'm kind of feeling it myself too, because Summer League in Vegas is a blast, but it does take a lot out of you. So I decided that rather than hit somebody up to be a guest on this show, we'd go old school. And it's kind of appropriate because a lot of you may not remember this, but when the show first started, when this incarnation of the Lakers Nation podcast with me as the host started up, it was originally just me and I was doing post-game recaps, and that was it. I actually didn't even have the capability to bring on a guest, which if you've done any radio or anything like that, you know that actually just going one-on-one with the microphone is more difficult than having a guest on there. It can be really, really hard. So this will be a little bit of a throwback for me, and this is actually our 99th episode. I can't believe it that we're already through 99 episodes of the Lakers Nation podcast. Maybe it's cliche, but it feels like just yesterday that I was just starting this thing up and just getting it going. And here we are, 99 episodes. So next week, that means it's going to be our big 100th episode. And that's kind of a milestone, kind of cool to hit that mark. So I'm going to be bringing in some guests and doing some special things for that. But for this one, 99th episode, we're going to do throwback style. So sorry, bear with me. It's just going to be me. And yeah, no guest to break it up. So just me and the microphone, and yeah, hopefully you guys will enjoy it. So let's talk a little bit about Summer League. And again, I just got back. I just got back a few days ago. Got back just in time for my daughter's birthday, which was kind of a must. And I can say that this Lakers team is really a joy to watch in the Summer League, and it's really because of how much they lock down on the defensive end. It's really cool to see. I mean, these guys are, as much as they're celebrating offensive plays, like they celebrate a big dunk and everything, but their bench really goes ballistic when they make a defensive stop. And they don't just go for one, they keep track of how many consecutive stops they can get on the defensive end of the floor. So it's really cool to see that kind of focus. And of course, they just blew out the Detroit Pistons. I'm recording just a few hours after that happened. The nice thing about it being a blowout is that they actually have to play tomorrow night, which is Monday night, which is this evening for most of you, because most of you are going to be listening to this on Monday. But they're going to be playing, and they're playing the Cleveland Cavaliers. Unfortunately, because they blew out the Detroit Pistons, their starters sat for a good chunk of the second half. So hopefully they'll have a little bit of a rest advantage over the Cavs, although the Cavs did get a pretty, I wouldn't say they coasted, but they got a pretty substantial win over the Toronto Raptors. So they're going to be meeting in the semifinals, and obviously the winner will go on to the finals. Svi Mykhailiuk, I got to talk about him a little bit because I've been so impressed by what he's done on both ends of the floor. I'm actually writing a piece for LakersNation.com right now all about it. And Svi actually had a really nice game against the Pistons. He had a team high 19 points. It was 2 of 5 from 3. That's 40%. So you got to like that. He's been doing a tremendous job defensively. I love how his teammates have been really getting up and praising him when he's made these big defensive stops. Of course, we think back to the game against the Chicago Bulls when he was matched up with Chandler Hutchinson. He missed a 3. He got upset, and then he wound up D'ing up Hutchinson full court because he had the ball and was charging down the floor. And he really dug in on Hutchinson, was doing a nice job staying in front. Hutchinson did beat him at the very, very end, but he was able to reach around from behind and poke the ball free and then get out on the break and finish with a dunk. And that's the kind of defense that we didn't really see from Mykhailiuk all the time. When he was at Kansas, a lot of NBA teams just didn't realize they had it, that he had that in him. A lot of teams kind of pigeonhole him as just a spot-up shooter, and he is showing in Summer League that he is far from being just that he's got way more to his skill set than just being a good shooter, which he is. He's a very good shooter, but he's got more to his game than just that. In fact, when I was talking to him after one of the games, he mentioned that he played point guard growing up, and that's why he's so comfortable when you see him out in transition, which we've now seen a few times in Summer League. He even did it against the Detroit Pistons, had a really nice spin move in transition to lose his defender, then a Euro step into a left-footed layup. So off the wrong foot, finished with his left hand. It was really, really nice. And so that's when you can see the upbringing that Svi has had and that kind of just potential that he's got, because he's got such a diverse skill set. So you can understand why the Lakers, who are all about versatility right now, would really target him. So very cool to see him doing so well. The big thing we need to talk about, though, and we'll talk a little bit more about the Summer League guys as we get into the mailbag, but big topic, LeBron James. So LeBron shows up in Las Vegas at Summer League. He's watching the Lakers take on the Detroit Pistons. He walks out, and what is he wearing? He's wearing Lakers shorts. Purple and gold. This is the first time that we've seen LeBron wearing Lakers gear that's not photoshopped onto him. And it's kind of a surreal moment, right? I mean, for so long, Lakers fans have thought about what it might be like if LeBron was a Laker. I mean, the best player in the league, playing for the league's most glamorous franchise. There's all kinds of storylines that just write themselves. And of course, there is that segment of the fan base that didn't want to see that didn't want LeBron to become a Laker, that preferred that never happened because they don't like him, or they don't like the rivalry with Kobe or any of those things. But still, LeBron James, Las Vegas Summer League, first appearance, and he's wearing a bit of Lakers gear. And then we come to find out that those shorts, because Twitter is so good at sleuthing, those particular Lakers shorts that he was wearing are $500 Lakers shorts. I don't know if they're made by Big Baller Brand. Actually, I know they're not made by Big Baller Brand, but that price tag sounds very Big Baller-esque. $500 Lakers shorts that he's wearing, and people were looking for them because they look good. They're pretty good-looking shorts. In fact, one of my first mailbag questions that I got is, did you buy the $500 Lakers shorts? No, I did not buy the $500 Lakers shorts. I don't think I could justify that. Pretty sure my wife would kill me if I spent $500 on a pair of shorts. But those were that was pretty cool to see him being out there and supporting his teammates. He was cheering on Josh Hart. He was really excited when Alex Caruso finished the half by hitting a 3 and getting fouled and converting the 4-point play. LeBron was fired up, and he also got a big hug from Brandon Ingram, which, I mean, that's probably the most exciting pairing for me, is LeBron and Brandon Ingram, those two out on the floor together. And that's why I'm kind of hoping, in a way, that the Lakers just kind of hold off on the whole Kawhi Leonard thing and wait and try to go after him as a free agent in 2019, because Brandon Ingram has just so much potential. I talked about this with Alan Sliwa a couple of shows ago from ESPN. He was on here, and we talked about how big Brandon Ingram can really be. He's grown so much. I think year 3, this is going to be his season to really break out. I think LeBron's going to give him the spacing and sort of the room needed on the floor in order to have that big season. So I'm really curious to see what the LeBron and Brandon Ingram combo can bring. All right, let's dig into the mailbag. And I know I already talked to him, about him a little bit, but the guy that I'm receiving the most questions about from the Summer League team is Svi Mykhailiuk, and with good reason. He has been, like Josh Hart, we knew Josh Hart should look really good in Summer League. He played well last season for the Lakers. He's a solid player. His skill set is very good. Yes, he's improved a lot, and we've seen there's plenty to be excited about with Josh Hart, but Svi kind of has that shiny new toy effect to him. And obviously with Mo Wagner being hurt and Isaac Bonga just not playing very well, that really puts the spotlight on Svi right now. So let's dig into some of these questions about him, and they all have to do with the rotation. So actually, I'll just go into these two. In fact, I'll read them both right now. At Mike_V33 said, how will Luke find minutes for Svi? And at ACSteezy99 asked, will it be hard for Svi Mykhailiuk to get into the rotation with Rondo and Stevenson being signed? So can Svi actually get minutes in the Lakers rotation? I mean, the answer really is yes, right? I mean, that's the message that we've been hearing from the Lakers, not just this summer, even though it's raised some eyebrows this summer, but the message that we've been hearing for a few years now is that starting spots are not a given, except for LeBron. That's the one given they've had this year. Like, obviously, LeBron's going to start because he's LeBron. But every other spot is open for competition. So, in theory, Svi could indeed win a starting spot. Now, is that likely? No. No, it's definitely not likely. He's a rookie. Okay, but even think back to last season, 2017. Everyone expected Julius Randle to start. What ended up happening instead? Larry Nance Jr. started. He usurped the starting role. Randle was able to win it back part of the way through the season. But by then, I mean, you could say the damage was done, and Randle was upset. And, of course, now Randle is no longer a Laker. So we know, though, that the Lakers they're not afraid to break away from what everybody expects to be their starting lineup. So I would think that right now, the expecting starting lineup for the Lakers would play out like this. You would have Lonzo Ball at point. You would have KCP at the 2. The 3, you've got Brandon Ingram. The 4 is LeBron. And the 5 would be JaVale McGee. And we'll get into the merits of McGee and all that in just a bit. But is there room there for Svi to make a case? Sure. Yeah, I mean, especially you look at that 2 spot, right? Probably going to be KCP. If not, probably going to be Josh Hart. But what if Svi gets out there and his shooting ability and his chemistry is just perfect with LeBron? Are the Lakers going to ignore that so that they can start KCP? No, they're going to go with whatever group they think gives them the best chance to win and whatever combination of players gives them the best chance to win. Is it likely? No, definitely not likely. Most likely, Svi will be fighting for minutes off the bench, but you know what? The Lakers need shooters. There's no question about it. I think they have more shooting on this team than people give them credit for because Josh Hart has shown to be a very good shooter. KCP was a phenomenal shooter last season after the All-Star break once he got his personal problems past him. Mo Wagner can shoot the ball. Kyle Kuzma can shoot the ball. Brandon Ingram had a much better season last year shooting from 3. Some of these young guys can shoot the ball. So even though they didn't bring in sort of the typical veteran shooters, they do have shooting from the young guys. But still, there could be a spot for Svi in there if he proves to be just that much better of a shooter. That's probably how he's going to get minutes at first. And I know everybody's excited because of what you've seen him do in Summer League, but let's let him take baby steps. Okay, remember, there's a big jump from high school to college. There's another big jump from college to NBA Summer League. Then there's another big jump from Summer League to the preseason, and a jump from preseason to regular season, and then another jump from regular season to playoffs. You think about how many players just never really were able to step it up in the playoffs in the NBA because the intensity gets ratcheted up that much higher. So Svi is already having to make a big transition. And same thing with Mo Wagner, same thing with the other rookies. Don't go into it assuming he's going to be Kyle Kuzma. Don't go into it assuming, oh, he's just going to destroy everything in the NBA. He's going to be phenomenal. He's going to be better than anybody expected. Clearly, the steal of the draft, all of that. It was great that it happened with Kuzma last year, and that he was so successful so early on, and then was able to maintain it. He had some peaks and valleys and everything, but for the most part, he maintained it. But that's not the norm, right? The norm is not finding a guy late in the draft that ends up being a starter or anything. Give Svi and the other rookies some time to develop because they're going to need it. Don't go into the season expecting them to just start. because I think that's setting yourself up for disappointment. So that's where I'm at on Svi. No, I don't think he starts. Yes, he's got a battle on his hands in order to find minutes, but ultimately he's also got a really nice skill set. He's got a great shot. I love his shot. He's so balanced. Shoulders always square. His form is impeccable. I mean, if I was teaching someone how to shoot a basketball, I would say, hey, go look at the way Svi shoots. It's brilliant. It's beautiful. I love his jump shot. But again, give him time. I don't think he's going to be in right away, but maybe in time he chips away and gets himself in there. All right. The other big topic that I had questions about was about the rotation. And this is just sort of the time of year for it. Everybody's asking about what the rotation is going to be for the Lakers. So let me just go through a few of the questions. At the bulletin board said, as currently constructed, how do you see minutes getting split, specifically at the 3, 4, 5? We had at DB Cordero said, should Luke monitor LeBron's minutes or have him sit out? How Pop sometimes has people sit out in San Diego. Remember Tim Duncan getting DNP old years ago? Should his minutes be monitored? Another person at C2M24 said, who is your starting 5? Will Mo get more minutes than Zoo? So many questions just like that. I have just a whole list of long questions. So let's dig into that. Let's dig into what this Lakers lineup is going to be. And it seems like most of you want to know what's going to happen at the 5. And that's understandable because right now, you think about JaVale McGee being the Lakers starting 5, and it's not a good feeling because the consensus opinion right now is that JaVale McGee is a backup center in the NBA. He's never really established himself as a true starter. It's not like that guy that you're dying to throw into your starting lineup. He does have a role. He's still pretty darn athletic. If you remember back to the dunk contest that he was in when he dunked 3 basketballs, I mean, this guy is an athlete. He can protect the rim a little bit. He can finish some lobs, and that's really what the Lakers are looking for. They're looking for a rim runner that can finish lobs and that can protect the paint. I do think he starts because who else are you going to start? If Julius Randle was still in town, I think you've got a legit argument for starting Randle and just going small ball right out of the gate. Without him, you don't have that option. You can't really start Kyle Kuzma as your 5. I think LeBron will play a lot of minutes at the 5 this year, especially closing. There were a number of you who asked what crunch time minutes would look like. I think LeBron's at the 5 in crunch time. I just think that's what's going to happen. But you can't ask him to start the game like that. I think that's asking too much. You're asking him to take too much of a pounding, especially if he's going up against like a Joel Embiid, right? Or some of these other big centers, Andre Drummond. Think about guys like that. Even DeAndre Ayton now in Phoenix. You've got these guys that are big, that are skilled, that can cause a lot of problems. I think it's too much to ask a Kuzma or LeBron or somebody like that to take him on. So I see McGee starting at the 5. I do think KCP ends up starting at the 2, but Josh Hart is making it a real question. Like Magic Johnson was already saying, hey, Hart is pushing for starters minutes here. Hart has been that good. When you look at his game, you look at how much he's improved in Summer League. Now, it's Summer League. It falls under what I call the Skidishvili rule. All right, Nicolas Skidishvili, years ago, this is guessing off the top of my head, but I believe it was 05, had a tremendous Summer League. I believe he was even Summer League MVP. And then he did nothing in the league. So Summer League, whenever you see somebody blow up, you always kind of have to take it with a grain of salt because you never know if it's real or not. Is that actually going to translate to the NBA? So Hart has been tremendously good, but we don't know for sure yet how that's going to look. We haven't seen KCP in a while, so who knows? His game is probably a little bit better as well. I'm sure he hasn't been just sitting around all off season. He's been improving just like Hart has. But I do think you have a real battle there at the 2 between KCP and Hart. Lonzo and Rondo, as long as Lonzo is healthy, I think he's got to win that starting point guard spot. Although now this news that he's had meniscus surgery, or he's having meniscus surgery on Tuesday, that sort of throws things into doubt. Right now, the Lakers right now are saying he's still going to be 100% by training camp. If he is, great, perfect. I think he's the starting point guard. I just think he is. I think they're going to need his defense. And I think that's the way you have to go. But if he's not 100%, if we've seen anything so far, it's that Lonzo is a little bit of a slow healer. The Lakers are also taking it easy with him this last season. They don't want to have any sort of prolonged problems, so they don't push him. But still, Lonzo has been a bit of a slow healer, so who knows? Maybe he's not really ready by training camp. And if he's not, then Rondo obviously probably slides into that starting spot, and it'll be on Lonzo to win it back. Brandon Ingram, I have to imagine, is going to start at the 2 and play, or at the 3 and play most of his minutes there. Maybe you do run some lineups where Ingram is at the 2, and then you can slide everybody up, and in that way you can slide Kyle Kuzma into the starting lineup. So you move him to the 4, LeBron would be your 3, McGee is still your 5. I could see that happening. Especially if Ingram is able to really improve his perimeter shooting. Then you've got this really long, think about that, Lonzo, Ingram, LeBron, Kuzma, McGee. You have this really long, switchy lineup. Could be kind of cool, especially for teams that don't have a big inside that can really punish you. You've got a lineup there that can cover in a lot of ways, or at least don't have too many perimeter three-point shooters that could burn you if maybe LeBron doesn't get out to a shooter in time or whatever. But anyway, it's an interesting idea, but I really do think that you're probably going to look at more of a traditional lineup early on. Lonzo, KCP, Ingram, LeBron, McGee. Can Zoo get in there? I received a lot of questions about Ivica Zubac as well. Can Ivica Zubac make a case for himself at the center spot, or will he get more minutes than Mo Wagner? You know, Mo was tremendous in Summer League. I especially was impressed by his work on the boards. He was a much better rebounder than I expected him to be, given that he doesn't have a great vertical, doesn't have a great wingspan. He still managed just through grit and toughness to grab a lot of rebounds for the Lakers, and that was really his big focus. That said, Ivica Zubac has shown some good things this summer, and let's remember the Lakers had to make a choice. Well, I guess they didn't have to. They could have kept him, especially given the spot that they're at right now. They cut Thomas Bryant, who was another big man to center. Could play a little bit of power forward, but he runs the floor extremely well. He shoots threes. Seems like he would be a perfect fit for the Lakers. There was a lot of head scratching going on when the Lakers decided to keep Zubac and let Bryant go. It was just a strange decision. Bryant got picked up by the Washington Wizards. It did pretty well. I saw him run on the floor the other day, looking good for that team. So obviously they've got some faith in Zubac, because Zubac actually makes a little bit more than Bryant. Not enough to where it's significant. I believe it's about $200,000. Bryant was about $1.3 million. Zubac $1.5. But still, they obviously have some faith in Ivica Zubac. And you know what? A lot of people are down on him right now after seeing this last season. His last season was not good. His sophomore campaign, it was not good. He looked slow. He wasn't able to really check guards on switches. Couldn't do that very well. Struggled to hang on to the ball. I mean, every problem that you could imagine a big man having in today's NBA, Zubac had it. He had issues. But think back to his rookie season when everybody was so excited about it. I remember actually interviewing him as a rookie coming in and him being so excited because he was getting to learn the sky hook. The Lakers were teaching him how to do the sky hook, and he was telling me all about how he had learned a bunch of moves by going on YouTube. Growing up, he would just spend all his time on YouTube and studying. He studied Marc Gasol, he studied Hakeem Olajuwon, and he practiced all their moves, and he was trying to learn them. This kid was so excited to be a Laker and just wanted to be a basketball sponge and soak up everything he could about being an NBA center. So there's still that kid in there. Right, even though he struggled this last season, and I talked to him this past season, I talked to him, and he was upset. He was not pleased with his role with the team. He was frustrated with himself. He knew that he wasn't keeping up with the pace, and he was struggling with it. So I still have my fingers crossed. I feel for him, and I hope that he winds up having a bounce-back season, because he does still have talent. He does still have skill. I mean, it wasn't all that long ago that fans were chanting Zoo every time he did something in Summer League, just like now they're chanting Svi or yelling Svi. So Zoo does have that potential, and hopefully he can provide some real center minutes, because I think the Lakers are going to need that. That's something that when you're looking at this roster, beyond JaVale McGee, you've got two kind of question marks. You've got Ivica Zubac and Mo Wagner. Yes, they're going to go small ball a lot. And as I already said, I think you're going to see LeBron at the 5, probably more than he was with the Cavs. But it sure would be nice if the Lakers had a true, legit backup center that they could fall back on. Whether that's Wagner, which I'm hesitant to assume that a rookie's going to be able to do that, or Zubac, I think they need at least one of those guys to step up and be a steady option. So looking at their lineup right now, I think they're going to need one of those two guys to step up, and I think Zubac is in for a bounce-back season. He was killing it with Croatia, by the way. I looked up his stats. He played in a couple of FIBA games, qualifiers for the FIBA World Cup. And against Italy, 24 minutes, he put up 12 points, 4 boards, 2 blocks. Not bad. But then against Romania, in 30 minutes, 20 points, 9 boards, 2 blocks. He looked pretty good diving to the basket too from the footage I was able to find. He looked pretty good. He looked nimble. He's still not the quickest guy out there, but maybe the Lakers are looking at performances like that and they're thinking, hey, this is going to be a bounce back season for him and he's in better shape and this is going to be a big season for him. So hopefully that's the case for him. One other guy I've gotten a lot of questions about, and let's jump to an actual question here. At Canales Manny said, what do you think about using Luol Deng as a stretch 5 for parts of the game? And this is not the only Luol Deng question that I've received. Had a number of people saying, hey, why don't they play Luol Deng this season? Can it help them? Can it maybe increase his trade value? Well, let's get into it. Luol Deng, his contract right now, $18 million left on it for the 2018-2019 season. For 2019-2020, he's got just under $19 million, as I recall. It's about $18.8 or so million on his deal. So you're looking at almost $37 million over the next 2 years. That's a ton. He played 13 minutes last season in the first game, and that was it. We didn't see him again. He was still in the locker rooms. He was still there with the team. From all accounts, I have yet to hear a negative comment about him. Everybody has said that he was doing a nice job being a veteran mentor, helping out the young guys, wasn't bringing the team down, doing any of the pouting stuff that you hear so much about. Not Luol Deng. Wasn't doing that kind of stuff. So good locker room presence. Now, is that worth $18 million? No. Obviously, the Lakers are not getting their money's worth out of him. Could he play? Sure. He could. Again, not likely, just like Svi Mykhailiuk is not likely to crack the starting rotation and not likely to get a ton of minutes, but it could happen. Now, the fact that the Lakers didn't play him last season, even when the injuries started mounting and they really needed wing help, they still didn't dust off Luol Deng and throw him out there. That kind of makes me wonder, was he not out there because they wanted the kids to grow and the kids to get more experience? Or was he not out there partly because he just doesn't have it anymore? I mean, he had a ton of miles on him. Luol Deng played a ton of minutes under Tom Thibodeau when he was with Chicago. So we know that he's got really high mileage. He's getting up there in years. Maybe from what the coaching staff saw, I don't know this for sure, but maybe from what they saw in practices, Deng just didn't have it anymore, and that's why they didn't put him out there. And if that's the case, then no, you probably don't see him this season. You won't. But could the Lakers use him if he does still have something left in the tank? Sure, yeah, they definitely could. I mean, you look at the roster, and really they need another big man. Will he be a 5? No. I don't think you see Luol Deng as a true 5 out there. But as a 4, I could see him actually pick up some minutes. LeBron is going to eat up minutes at the 4. I think he's going to spend a number of minutes there. Kyle Kuzma is also going to get a lot of minutes at the 4. Between the two of them, that's probably going to be most of your minutes. But I've also received a lot of questions about managing LeBron's minutes, and I think that is something that's going to need to happen. LeBron has played more minutes than anyone in the NBA not named Dirk Nowitzki. Any active player not named Dirk Nowitzki, and LeBron has played more minutes than any of them. He has racked up a ton of minutes. He had played more minutes than any other player last season. He was averaging almost 38 minutes per game last season. So that can be problematic. The Lakers just got LeBron. He's turning 34 in December. They just got him. You want to make sure that you kind of bubble wrap him a little bit. Yeah, he still needs to be out there. He still needs to play, obviously. He's going to be the focal point of the team. But at the same time, you've got him for 4 years. Well, you got him for at least 3 years, plus maybe another year. You want to have him healthy and 100% for as much as you possibly can. And Father Time is undefeated. Never lost, right? As LeVar Ball would like to say. Father Time is never lost. So it's going to be important that LeBron's going to decline. He's more machine than man at this point, but seemingly, I mean, he's unstoppable. But at some point, Father Time's going to start taking his toll, and you want to make sure that LeBron is as healthy as can be. And maybe that means sparing him some minutes here and there. Maybe you rest him some games. Maybe back-to-backs. You find ways to kind of sit him out, or only play him, say, 15 minutes one night. That could open up some minutes at the 4, and then maybe you wind up seeing Luol Deng get in there. Maybe not. Maybe the Lakers go small and you see Lance Stevenson as a 4 or something like that, which is probably more likely. But still, I think Luke Walton will not rule it out. He won't rule out throwing Luol Deng in there. And the reason why we think that is because of history, right? Think about Nick Young a few seasons ago, a couple summers ago. Everybody thought, and myself included in this, everybody thought Nick Young was going to be waived by the Lakers. He was that bad. This was Luke's first season as head coach, so 2 seasons ago. Under Byron Scott, he was that bad. He was just about unplayable. Terrible defender. His shot abandoned him. He was just a dead contract on the books. That summer, Luke Walton said, hey, Nick, I'm going to give you a fresh start. I'll take a fresh look at you. Show me what you've got. Guess who ended up not only keeping his spot on the team, but he wound up being the starting shooting guard for the Lakers. That was Nick Young. Nick Young, Swaggy P. If Swaggy P can battle back after everybody wrote him off and not only stay on the team, but claim a starting spot, I'm not going to count Luol Deng out. I'm just not. Is it likely? No. Okay, but I'm not going to count him out. Maybe he gets some minutes here and there. The big thing for the Lakers is that at this point, with no free agents really left on the market that are going to be worth spending big money on, there's no real reason to waive Luol Deng at this point, to stretch him. If you're going to stretch him, you might as well wait until next summer. Because to stretch him now, you would be paying him just over $7 million for the next 5 years. And you'd clear about $10 million in cap space, but you've got nobody really to spend that on right now. So no reason to do that. So for the Lakers, it's keeping Luol Deng for at least one more season. Maybe they trade him mid-season if they can find a taker. Who knows? Maybe he plays okay, and that lowers the asking price for trading him a little bit. It's not going to be a lot, but maybe a little. And then if they end up not being able to move him during the season, they're either going to trade him next summer with only 1 year left on his deal as an expiring contract, or maybe you waive and stretch him. And at that point, then you would only be paying him for the next 3 seasons, and you'd pay him just over $6 million per season. So it's much more appetizing to the Lakers to sort of hang on to him. And yeah, there's going to be that feeling of, well, hey, if we've got him, might as well see if he's useful. So I expect that Luol Deng, if he's still on the roster come opening day, will get a legit look. But again, I wouldn't say it's likely that he's going to get major minutes or anything like that. Long explanation for that question, but sometimes it's important that you dig into Luol Deng here. Let's move on. I've got at Scott Sanch, and this is Scott Sanchez, asking me again about the center position, and says McGee and Zubac. So JaVale McGee and Ivica Zubac can't be counted on to cover 35 minutes per game at center. Wagner is a scorer, not a defender. Actually defended pretty well in Summer League. But Chicago has 3 centers. What if we try to trade for Robin Lopez, who's on an expiring contract, for Luol Deng and a future first? That would definitely clear up the Lakers' cap situation. I think that would be a home run move, especially if they can put some protection on that first. But it really feels like the fact that the Lakers didn't go after another center. Brook Lopez signed for just over, $3.8 million or so in Milwaukee. And he said he wanted to come back and be a Laker. So if the Lakers were looking for a more traditional style center and a true big, they probably would have just brought back Brook Lopez. They have the money to spend, and he wanted to be a Laker. So it sort of informs us that maybe they're not looking to have that traditional center in there all that much, and they're going to be playing small a bit more often this season. So in that case, Robin Lopez isn't really a fit in that regard, but otherwise I'm fine with the trade. I'd be perfectly fine with making that sort of move in order to shed Luol Deng's salary and all that. It seems like it would be a good deal, but again, I don't think that's exactly what the Lakers are looking for, but contractually I think it's a good one. At Kid Cavello 24 says, what's going on with Zoe's knee? Seems like he should have ended his season in January. Why is he getting surgery now? And I had another person ask a similar question at Jerwig 00. So Jermaine Wiggins asked the same thing. Basically, what do we think about Lonzo Ball's knee? Well, from my understanding, the hope was that it would heal on its own. And that sometimes, meniscus tears can do that. Sometimes you don't have to have surgery. Things around it can grow and heal and strengthen and all that. Again, I'm not a doctor or anything like that, but I believe that's what they were hoping to do. Okay, and that's not from an inside source or anything. That's my guess at this, is that they were hoping to see progress made and hope to avoid surgery that way. Apparently it didn't work. So now Lonzo needs to get surgery to repair that meniscus, but he is still projected right now to be ready for training camp. The downside, of course, is that if he has surgery, that shuts down some of his training. It won't be too long before he can actually get out and shoot, but still, it is a bit of a setback. So he's not going to be able to grow as much as a player and develop this summer as we would have hoped. So yeah, that's a setback there, but there are still plenty of things he can do to work on his game, even as he's recovering. Of course, we know the jumper needs work, so he can work on that a bit. Obviously, he's not going to be able to do a whole heck of a lot on his leg, but the Lakers seem confident that he's going to be 100%, that he's going to be ready to go by training camp. So we just have to keep our fingers crossed and hope that that's the case. Next question, Dexter Cumberbatch at Dexter C73 says, which of the young players will benefit the most from playing with LeBron? This is, again, something I talked to Alan Slewa of ESPN about last time we were together. And we both agreed that it's Brandon Ingram. Brandon Ingram, and I already talked about this a little bit, but Brandon Ingram showed flashes last season where he looked like an all-star, where he looked like the team's best player. I think overall in the season, Julius Randle was the best player on the team, which is why it hurts, obviously, that he's gone to the Pelicans. But Brandon Ingram had flashes where when he was running the point, where he looked so good. So good. I mean, controlling the ball, finding the open man, shooting efficiently, doing everything. I mean, you averaged over 18, 5, and 5 for a month during the month of February. Tremendous. And if he can tap into that and put together a full season where he's playing at that level, which I think that's what's going to be coming here in year 3 for him. I think that's going to be the big jump. And then you factor in that LeBron has the gravity that LeBron has. Right? If you're a defender and you have to choose to either leave LeBron James or Brandon Ingram because you're rotating, I mean, obviously you're going to leave Brandon Ingram. Because even if Ingram has been shooting well from the perimeter, it's LeBron James. You're not going to leave him alone. So I think because of that, LeBron's going to create a situation where people are going to be paying attention to him, and that's going to free up Ingram. It's going to give him that extra half a beat to do something with the ball. And I think we're going to see him not just attacking the rim at a even more efficient rate, but I think we're also going to see him shooting even better from the field. So Brandon Ingram, he's my guy this season. I think he's the guy that's going to step up the most. I know a lot of people point to Lonzo and say, oh, Lonzo's going to have this big breakout season. Hey, he might, but I think Brandon Ingram is the guy. He's the guy to watch this season, and I think he's the guy that's going to benefit the most from playing alongside LeBron James. Last question, because I've already gone on longer than I expected to, is about the last roster spot and cap space. So at Malik Hill 45 says, any news concerning David Nwaba? We know David Nwaba was waived by the Chicago Bulls, just like the Lakers waived him last summer, and everybody was disappointed when the Bulls picked him up off waivers. People were hoping, and the Lakers were hoping, that Nwaba would clear waivers and they could re-sign him. But any news concerning David Nwaba? Loved his defense with the Lakers, and it would be great to have him back on the squad, especially considering we're going for high IQ defensive-minded players. The Lakers do have one roster spot left. They've got about $4.8 million left to spend, and that's coming from Eric Pincus of Basketball Insiders. Want to make sure I give him credit. And David Nwaba, if the Lakers want him, they could go get him. Right? They've got the money for it. They've got a roster spot for it. But I don't know that he's, in terms of his mentality, he's a good fit. Right? Defense first, all that, athletic, likes to get out and run the floor, finishes pretty well. Pretty good fit in that regard. But in terms of what they need right now, I don't know that they really need another wing player. I don't know where David Nwaba's minutes can come from. I mean, I already got those questions asking about Svi Mykhailiuk, like where do his minutes come from? If you throw David Nwaba into the mix, who can play the 2 or the 3, you're creating even more of a log jam. I guess you do need some minutes at 3 because at this point, I'm assuming, based on how difficult of a time Isaac Bonga has had in Summer League. I mean, he's been like a deer in headlights for stretches of the game. He's getting a little more comfortable, but you can see he's going to be a big project. It's going to take time. I know a lot of people out there are upset right now that the Lakers didn't pick DeAnthony Melton instead of Isaac Bonga, and I get it. Anthony Melton has looked good, and yes, the Lakers would be stronger right now today if they had Melton over Bonga. But at the same time, you can understand why the Lakers went with him. He's a long-term play. He's a project. Still has a lot of potential, but can't count on him for this season. He's probably going to spend most of the season in the G League. So that leaves really Brandon Ingram, and Lance Stevenson at the 3, with maybe Josh Hart filling in for some minutes there. Svi could pick up some minutes. He's 6'8". He could handle that. Maybe LeBron slides up and played some 3. So I think you've got enough pieces that can play there that I struggle to see where Nwaba fits in. I think I might rather play Nwaba than Stevenson because I'm just not very high on Lance Stevenson, but hopefully I'll be proven wrong there and we'll see the Lance Stevenson of a few years ago. And I know that the Lakers value his ability to create offense, to create off the dribble and kind of run the show. But I guess it all boils down to this. I wouldn't be upset if they signed David Nwaba. I'd be fine with that. I mean, the guy worked tremendously hard. He really is a fascinating story for how he made it into the NBA. But I think they're holding on to that last roster spot and that last bit of money in case a trade pops up, in case maybe the San Antonio Spurs kind of lose their nerve a little bit and finally accept a deal, because then they can absorb a salary. They've got a little bit of leeway there, that $4.8 million. They have that little bit of extra room. And I'm not suggesting a trade is happening or pending or anything like that. I just think they're keeping that roster spot open just in case. And it's also a nice little carrot for the guys that have been working during Summer League to be able to show, hey, look, you guys keep working hard. Like I think of Jeff Ayers. I think of some of the other guys that have played well during Summer League. You can say, look, we've got a roster spot. We could bring you in, right, if you're able to play well. You can also offer that up to guys in preseason. You can say, look, we're heading into the season with an extra roster spot. There's a direct path for you to make the team. So that gives them some opportunity and some flexibility to look at some guys as well, even if a trade doesn't pop up. I mean, who knows? Like the last 2 games of the season, the hero was Andre Ingram, and nobody's really talking about him. What if he comes into training camp? And we don't know if he will or not yet, but what if he comes into training camp and continues to shoot lights out from downtown and you want to give him a roster spot? So having that spot open doesn't necessarily, and that money open doesn't necessarily mean they have to go out and spend it on somebody. Maybe David Nwaba gets it, but again, I don't know that he's the perfect fit. I think personality-wise, he's a great fit, but in terms of skill set, he wouldn't be my first choice. But again, I definitely wouldn't be upset with him showing up and winding up on the Lakers either, just because of what he brings in terms of work ethic and all the other intangibles that you get wrapped up with David Nwaba. All right, that's going to wrap things up. I've gone on long enough here. Thank you for those of you guys who listened to this entire show. Obviously, it's a little bit different format with it being just me, but appreciate those of you who listened. And we'll be back next week for our big 100th episode. If you guys want, look me up on Twitter at Trevor_Lane. If you guys want to tweet at me or whatever, or give me a follow. And of course, don't forget to head over to LakersNation.com for all the latest breaking Lakers news. We do try to be everything Lakers. So again, go check it out, LakersNation.com. Till next time, we're going to have our big 100th episode next show. See ya.